The environmental issues surrounding the Highland Tower tragedy consisted of three things: deforestation, heavy rainfall, and landslides. Deforestation. The clearance of hills greenery was imminent. To make space for the construction, many trees had to be cleared, removing ground cover and allowing rain to much easily seep into the soil and construction site. During this time, the area was under heavy rainfall. This excessive amount of rainwater, catalyzed by the removal of trees on the hill, seeped into the soil, making it unstable and muddy, which then unfortunately but finally led to the landslides. The deforested soil with no vegetation to help absorb the extra rainwater coming in slowly caused the soil to become muddy, and shortly after, a landslide had begun.
The Highland Tower's collapse was a terrible tragedy. I'll be talking about one of the major issues that led to the collapse. Poorly maintained drainage systems. The impact of poor drainage systems was water seepage, soil erosion, and ultimately a landslide that destabilized the building's foundation. But beyond those engineering failures, the disaster was also a violation of critical ethical responsibilities. From the Engineering Code of Conduct, Section 1.2.3 was violated as the engineer had failed to disclose the safety risks from the poor drainage. As for Section 1.1.5, the code was violated from the engineer approving of the inadequate drainage system design.
The Highland Tower's collapse wasn't just a tragedy, it was a failure of the system. Flaws in building regulations and weak enforcement left slopes unprotected, drainage unmanaged, and homes unsafe. Negligence ran deep. Developers, contractors, and authorities ignored the warnings. Victims fought for justice, but accountability was slow, and compensation was even slower. The disaster shattered trust in high rise safety, leaving survivors displaced and financially devastated. 3 decades later, have we learned from Highland Towers, or are we still at risk?
Solution 1 is outsource independent enforcement. The solution includes employing third-party inspector to conduct safety audits for unbiased evaluation. This is consistent with BM Code 2.2.1. A registered engineer shall certify completion of work only if he has total control of the supervision of construction, has fulfilled the requirements of engineering, design, and specification. By having independent safety expert, the integrity of safety audit is maintained. This ensures only qualified people assess the compliance and confirms the public safety.
Now we're going to be addressing our second solution. Okay, our second solution to target the lack of regulatory enforcement and poor coordination amongst government agencies that contributed to the disaster. Firstly, the enforcement of Directive 20, which was created to define disaster response rules, ensuring no confusion about responsibilities. Government engineers and planners must also resist corruption and unethical practices. Transparency in permit approvals and land use policies is essential. Finally, authorities should regularly update building codes to reflect modern engineering practices and climate change impacts.
Now for our third solution. So firstly, we should be focusing on comprehensive geotechnical assessments. So basically, engineers must conduct thorough soil and slope stability studies before approving hillside projects. In essence, ethical conduct requires prioritizing human safety over profit. And finally, future developments must incorporate sustainable water management solutions to prevent soil erosion and landslides.